to Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine Rise. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everybody, you are listening to episode 149, What's Next in the Return to Office Battle. Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Lorraine Rise. You can learn more about myself and my amazing team of coaches and resume writers at careeruprising.com. So the day has come. You guys, this is it. So when you're like, what day? What is she talking about? My book that I wrote, What You Didn't Learn in School, Lessons on Growth, Change, and Living Your Best Life, is out December 5th, which is tomorrow when this show airs. So if you're listening in pretty close to real time, most likely the book is out and available. So I will not take up much time, but I just want to say, of course, thank you so much to everybody who's already pre-ordered the book, quite a few of you, and to those who reviewed the book. Some of you got kind of early copies, and it's just been an amazing year for me and a huge focus and effort that started at the very beginning of 2023. In January is when I connected with a publisher and really got serious about putting this book out and letting it see the light of day. I'd been sitting on it for years, quite honestly. So I'm still going to be promoting it, of course, but not as much. The pre-order phase really is the big push as an author. That's really when you, are trying to get that out there. That's critical for a new book. So, go out there and get it online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Amplify Publishing, lots of places if you haven't done so already. And that's it. I just want to say thank you guys. I'm kind of bringing this effort somewhat to a close here. It pretty much spanned the entire 2023. It's quite an effort to publish a book. In case you were curious, it's a multi-year effort from writing it to editing it to publishing it and then marketing it and promoting it and everything. So it's been a year. And this is the last show of the year that I'm recording right now as well. So thank you guys for another wonderful year of hosting this show with you. And I want to, of course, wish everyone a wonderful holiday and say thank you so much for being a listener and a follower. I appreciate it so much. I am still pumped up about doing this show. I love it after all of these years. So thank you for that. And I hope that you're having a great close to the year. I don't know what kind of year it was for you in 2023. It was really a big one for me. And, with the holidays coming, we're kind of doing things a little different this year. We're doing no gifts. Have you ever done that? For Christmas, we've never done that. We are doing no gifts, and instead we're taking a vacation. We're going to the Bahamas in just a couple of days as of the recording of this in December. And I'm really excited. My daughter's 13, almost 14. And as she gets older, we're really kind of shifting from the gifts and the commercialization of Christmas to experiences and vacation. So we're doing something new and not doing gifts under the tree. We'll see how Christmas morning goes. And instead, we're just doing some time together on a special Christmas trip. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday, however you are going to be celebrating it. But as for me, I'll be taking my two parents in their 70s on their first cruise ever. It's going to be an awesome experience. But okay, let's get into the topic today, you guys. I'm going to close out this year with a topic of something that has been just front and center, I think, on a lot of people's minds. It's been one of the most raging topics out there on, LinkedIn and all the social media when it comes to our careers. And that is the return to office, RTO, as it's being called, right? This tug of war between the employers and the employees. And, I've been witnessing it kind of from the sidelines as an entrepreneur, really. but also I have a husband in the workforce, so I get it. And it's just been quite a conversation to watch. And I have to admit, given where we are right now with this RTO, I was wrong in my predictions. I really, really thought that in the post-COVID world, we were really going to see more remote work stay. I really thought that was going to win. And I don't know if that's the case right now, at least not in the short term. More and more people are being forced to go back into the office. And I didn't really foresee that. I thought that with everything that happened with COVID, that would be so profound and enough that remote work would win and be more predominant. And it's like a pendulum switch, going back and forth, and it's really swinging pretty hard in the other direction right now, with everyone going back into the office. And I don't know, it's such a complicated issue. There's no one size fits all. I mean, we'll get into it, but every day you see headlines and stories about which company it is now that's forcing people to go back into the office. And I'm going to give you guys my take on it, certainly, as we go through the show. And that's just my opinion, of course. That's just how I see it from where I sit. That's all. But in the wake of the pandemic, really, there has been a seismic shift that has happened in the corporate world. I mean, I feel like it just upended so much of the corporate world, kind of in some good ways. But as companies grapple with this decision to bring people back into the office or not, or continue with remote work or go hybrid, employees are finding themselves in the middle of a really big tug of war, and it's not easy. So we're going to explore it today's show. We're going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of working remotely, also some strategies for negotiating remote work with your boss, and just me kind of pondering the future. I wasn't correct in my first prediction, so who knows, right? All I can share is what I think may happen. I think we're all going to be witnessing it unfold in real time, so we don't really know exactly what's going to happen. But the statistics are staggering. So I was trying to do a little bit of research on this for the show, and a whopping 90%, I think, at least according to one source, 90% of companies plan to implement a return to office policy by the end of 2024. So that's from a report from this past August from Resume Builder, and they surveyed 1,000 company leaders. So, kind of a small pool. Who knows if it's representative or not? It might be. But nearly 30% say their company will also threaten to fire employees who don't comply with the in-office requirements. Holy cow, man, I hate to hear that. And there's another statistic. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the number of Americans working from home has fallen dramatically since its high in the pandemic. So today, fewer than 26% of U.S. households still have someone working remote at least one day a week. And that's a significant drop from the peak in 2021, which was 37%. So really, when you think about those numbers, don't even seem that big. Most people still are on site. That didn't really change because even at the peak, only 37% had somebody working only one day a week remote. That's really not that much. So I think that maybe the office never really went away as much as we thought it did. I don't know. But I can personally confirm that there is a return to office here in the Washington, D.C., Virginia area that I have noticed, because starting just this year, in August, we've switched my daughter to a private school, so we have to drive her every day now, and it's 30 minutes one way. So we're on Route 7 every morning, and then again in the afternoon to take her to and from school. And I can absolutely confirm that the traffic is back up to pre-pandemic levels. The gridlock is awful. It's sad, really. It's sad for people's work-life balance, for the environment, just for a lot of reasons. And I really quick, I'm going to go back and just share with you briefly that reminds me of my commuting days, because I did that commute for a long time. And before I started Career Uprising in 2015. And I remember so clearly at a certain employer, I had towards the end, this was 2016, before I really kind of, went full force into entrepreneurship. I held down a contracting job. And I remember the reason I left is because they wouldn't let me work from home. They said no. I asked. They said, no, sorry. I mean, it was, even in just 2016, it was not commonplace to be able to work from home. You had to beg, borrow, and steal. You had to have a specific reason or be really high up in the company. And I remember feeling so frustrated because I did not need that office for a damn thing. I didn't need it for anything. There was no reason why I needed to be there physically to do my job. It could all be done remote. And I was doing recruiting. And I even remember the reason they told me why this was really what pissed me off. I asked, why I couldn't work remote. And they said, well, we need to be visible to our customers. Well, my customer in that job was the hiring managers. That's who I supported. And would you believe, you probably would, in the time that I worked there, I never met a single one of them. I met with other recruiters. I had my peers there, but my customer, the hiring managers who had these open jobs, I did not see or physically meet a single one of them. I was not, quote, visible to my customers anyway, even when I was there. It was the dumbest answer. It was like just adding insult to injury. Not only do you tell me no, but you give me the lamest answer that makes absolutely no sense. So I'm going off on a tangent here, you guys, because I remember this battle myself. And that was the reason why I ended up leaving that job, because it was otherwise a great job. And I left because I was driving from Purcellville to Manassas. And if you know the DMV area, you know that drive. I mean, it was about an hour one way. And that was just unacceptable to me. My daughter was much younger and at that time, and I wanted to be home more and cut that time out. So anyway, you guys feel my pain. I feel yours. I'm right there with you. So let's talk about for a minute why your employer wants you back in the office so damn bad in the first place, right? There are a lot of reasons for this. So I think it depends a lot on what the business is. Obviously, there's concerns, I think, about productivity and creativity, collaboration, even down to security and compliance, which I totally understand. And then there's just the company culture and image, right? Sometimes they just want to have a certain culture that is based on working in person, and that's fine. That is their prerogative. That's okay. And then, of course, there's the office space, right? That's one of the biggest factors. I think that there are a plethora of reasons, and they vary company to company. So there's no one certain reason. I don't think that is pervasive of all employers. I think that it varies a lot. I would think that some companies would be more willing to let go of that pricey office space, but maybe it's not that simple. Maybe there's something else there that I'm not seeing, and maybe they're willing to pay for that if it means they think that they have better productivity or collaboration or something, maybe there's something else there that is worth the cost to them. I can see how potentially smaller companies with limited resources and less employees would probably be more likely to let you work remote. Maybe there's more benefits from them. They can't afford that overhead. And that's possible. So I think company size could certainly play a role also. And that's just kind of what I've observed. It's one thing to have 200 employees. It's another to have 2,000 or 20,000, certainly, and try to corral all of them working remotely. I do feel like overall, I'm noticing it's the larger companies that are more resistant and can't turn on a dime, and might be more hesitant to let people work from home. And I do get that. So, okay, let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back in just about 2 minutes, we're going to talk more about you and your situation, and I'm going to give you some tips and even some exact dialogue that I want you to try and use if you are not currently working remote and you would like to. So we're going to wrap up this show with some key takeaways, and also some of my predictions for what I think may happen with this battle, and also some specific tips and strategies and dialogue for you. All right, so stay tuned. We will be right back. Hey there, listeners. Thanks for tuning in to Career Uprising. I have some exciting news for you. This show has been going steady since 2018, and I have amassed well over 100 episodes so far. So I decided to do something big and bold. I put the best of all of my teachings together in a book. That's right. I have a brand new book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all the major outlets. It's called What You Didn't Learn in School: Lessons on Growth, Change, and Living Your Best Life. This book contains 30 powerful lessons from my podcast and my work as a career coach to help you live your best life. Learn how to increase your confidence, get rid of imposter syndrome forever, finally get clarity on your career path, and so much more. This book covers everything from careers to finances to health to relationships and more. Head over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your favorite book retailer and pre-order your copy of What You Didn't Learn in School. Then go to my website, careeruprising.com, to learn more about how Career Uprising can help you transform your career and your life. Let's get back to the show. All right, and we are back. So let's jump into what you can do if you don't currently work from home but want to. I have some ideas for you. And all of this, of course, is prefaced by the assumption that the work you do can be done remotely. That just wanted to make sure that it is obvious, right? Not every job can be done remotely. So if your job is, conducive to that, and the company has the capability for that, here is what you can do. All right. So tip number one, when you are having this conversation and asking your supervisor for this, number one is highlight your performance. It really needs to be based on that because employers are worried that performance could be sacrificed, and that's the last thing that they want. So demonstrate how remote work could actually enhance your performance and try to provide specific examples. So, for example, maybe have you worked from home at a previous job and it was successful? Give them an example. Tell them you've done this successfully in the past. So I think focusing on your performance and addressing that potential concern head on is really, really important, and give examples of success in the past if you have them. 2, propose a trial period. So suggest not just going full bore, and saying going from 5 days on site to 5 days working remote. That probably won't work. Try a trial period and make it just one day at a time. Start small. All right. This will let them acclimate and kind of get used to it, and also just feel like you recognize the transition. A transition period is good. It helps people get used to things. And I think that it will be probably a lot more successful and better well received if you propose it first as a trial period, because it kind of acknowledges their hesitancy a little bit and it's sensitive to it. All right. And you're going to be a rock star during this trial period, of course, I know, and maintain really good communication and productivity. Number 3 is address their concerns. Make sure that you are sensitive to their concerns and maybe even anticipating them, because you probably can, right? You can probably guess what they're worried about: lack of collaboration or creativity, productivity, making sure you're communicative and available and still producing the same output. So think through those things as if you were your boss. What are they going to be worried about? And how can you help overcome that and present a solution for it, right? Not just tell them why they're wrong. We don't want to just be like, no, that's not going to happen. You're wrong. You don't have to worry about that. That's not going to go over well. We want something more along the lines of, I hear you. I completely understand that that's a concern. And I want to assure you, I've already thought about that. And here's what I'm thinking could be the solution. Right? Isn't that going to be so much better received than the first strategy? And then number 4 is emphasize the benefits for the company. How could this potentially help them? Could it save them money? Could it save them time somehow? Could you actually maybe adjust your schedule or extend your work hours given that you don't have that commute time? Would it actually help you to report to work on time better because you don't have traffic jams and accidents to worry about? Think about how this could actually be a win for the company. And I'm sure that there are ways, right? From a hiring perspective, of course, just broadening the talent pool is big, right? So remote work allows for that as well. Also think about employee retention and satisfaction. Is this something that would enable you to stay with the company more long term because it's less stressful and better work-life balance? Well, that's a good benefit for them if they want to retain you. So start thinking about these things before you ever even start the conversation. Okay. So I'm a big dialogue person. I'm going to jump into it. So if you're thinking, okay, this all sounds great, Lorraine, but how do I actually say this? This is just my suggestion. Okay. I don't know your boss. I don't know exactly what dialogue is going to work perfectly for them. But if it were me, this is what I would say. I would start the conversation with something like this. I've been reflecting on our current work setup, and I wanted to discuss the possibility of incorporating more remote work into my schedule. I've put some thoughts together on how this could work and the potential benefits for both myself and the team. Could we set up about 15 minutes to talk through this? So that's the first thing, right? Is setting up time ahead of time rather than just bombarding them with it. Hey, I want to work remote and forcing them into the conversation right then and there. So you might want to schedule time for it, okay? Just to give them a heads up so that they're prepared. Then when it comes time to have the conversation, it could sound something like this. I've been considering the idea of a hybrid work model where I spend some days working remotely, and I believe this could actually enhance my productivity and contribute to a better work-life balance. I have found that I can be quite focused and productive when working from home. It eliminates a lot of distractions, and I think it would be a more conducive environment for certain tasks. Second, I actually think it might help me manage my time and reduce commuting stress, allowing me to be more present and more engaged during work hours. Additionally, I think a trial period could really help evaluate the effectiveness of this approach and allow for adjustments if needed. Could we discuss trying this new approach with just 1 day of remote work from home each week and then reassess after 30 days? So what I did there was I tried to anticipate their needs and show them the benefits of this. Then I started with only 1 day. I started small and I proposed a trial period. Okay. I didn't get mad and huff and puff and say, I'm going to quit if you don't let me do this. Obviously that's an option, right? You're allowed to do that, but you don't need to make that a part of the conversation. All right. So notice how I focused on the benefits, not just for myself, but also for the company. Think like an employer. Propose a trial period and start with 1 day and then move to 2 after you reevaluate, or 3 or whatever you want it to ultimately be. Okay. But do give the trial period a definite amount of time. Don't leave it open-ended. There needs to be follow-up and a date for when you're going to reassess this. I think this approach is very reasonable and diplomatic. Like I said, it depends a lot on the company culture, how they view remote work, what type of business they're in and their business model, not just what your boss permits. Sometimes it's not even up to your boss. They may or may not even have the authority to allow for remote work on their team. But whoever you're having this conversation with, if you decide to have it, hopefully this will work well for you. But it does kind of assume that there is some leverage that this person has that you're talking to, that they have the ability to approve this, which a lot of times is the case. Here's what I think the bottom line is. There is no one size fits all with remote work. Not everyone works better from home. Not everyone does. Some people like the office. If I could choose right now, honestly, I would have a hybrid situation. That's not really something that's afforded to me as an entrepreneur with an online-based business. But if I could, I could do 1 or 2 days in the office. Sometimes it's nice to get out and have face-to-face interactions, get out of your house. There are benefits to it. So I am not by any means bashing the office, not even close. I'm actually a big proponent of the hybrid model. I love that. But I do think that remote work is a great thing for a lot of people, and I don't want to see that get diminished or go away. I like having that option there because some people, it really does work better. And I think there are legitimate benefits for the company. So this is definitely not any kind of an anti-office or anti-employer show. Not at all. But I am very pro remote work for those who want it and those who work better with it, which is not always everyone. So that's why I keep saying this is not a one size fits all. It's a complicated issue with a lot of different sides. There's pros and cons to it. And what works for one person in one company will not work across the board. So I like having options, definitely, and choices. So if you are an employee, though, I want you to keep pushing for remote work if that's what you want. And if it really means that much to you, you may have to get another job. There are definitely remote jobs out there, but they are so popular that they have a bazillion applicants, thousands, versus the ones that are in office have, 1/10 of the amount of applicants. I mean, we're talking like 1,000 applicants versus 10. It's that big of a difference. So if you are able and willing to go on site for hybrid or on site jobs, make that known. Man, tell the employer in your cover letter, your emails, whatever, and target those jobs because you will have an advantage. They're far less competitive. Absolutely. All right. That's my show. The last show for 2023. I hope you have an amazing new year and Christmas and everything. I hope that this was a good year for you. Thank you so much for being a listener. I hope you continue to join me on this journey as it continues into 2024. I've got lots of great shows planned. So thank you all. And thank you for those who pre-ordered the book for your support of that initiative. Just everyone, friends, family, followers. I'm feeling super, super grateful for everybody who's in my network. So my love to you all. Have a wonderful New Year's, and I will be back in 2024. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show was brought to you by InflowRadio.com. The best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.